Her small frame shook under the weight of pain that seemed far too heavy for a child. She was only 9, her skin glowing with a deep shade of brown that carried both beauty and scars of hardship, but that night she was curled up on the hospital bed, clutching her stomach as though it were a fragile glass about to shatter. Her eyes, wide and glistening with tears, searched the room desperately. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, the monitors beeped steadily, but in her mind the world was collapsing. She pressed her hand against her belly and whispered with trembling lips, "My stomach hurts so much." Then the doors swung open, and in a voice that shattered the stillness, a man in a sharp suit, with urgency in his every step, roared out, "Where is my daughter? Before I go further, if you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the power of love that heals wounds deeper than money can reach, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel Kindness Speaks, and share this story with someone who might need hope today. It truly makes a difference." He was a millionaire, known for his towering presence in boardrooms, his relentless decisions, his ability to build empires from dust. Yet in that instant, no wealth, no stock market win, no luxury car mattered. What mattered was the fragile life of the little girl who had been lost to him for years. Her name was Aaliyah. She was the child he had not raised, the one he had not tucked in at night or kissed on the forehead before school. Choices, mistakes, pride, and distance had stolen time that he could never buy back. But when the call came, that his daughter had collapsed at school, her stomach in excruciating pain, her cries echoing through the hallways, something inside him broke. He dropped everything. The world could wait, but his child could not. The journey that brought them to this hospital was not simple. Aaliyah had grown up with her mother, a woman who had carried both love and weariness in equal measure. They lived modestly, in a small apartment that sometimes smelled of fried onions and damp carpet. Her mother worked double shifts, stretching every dollar, and there were nights when dinner was just a bowl of rice sprinkled with salt. Still, Aaliyah never complained. She learned early to smile even when her stomach was empty, to hug her mother tight even when exhaustion dragged them both down. She had seen other children with fathers at soccer games, fathers waiting outside classrooms, fathers lifting daughters onto their shoulders. She had none of that. All she had was the memory of a man who once held her as a baby and then disappeared into a world of glass towers and glittering parties. Her illness did not come suddenly. For weeks, she had felt the cramps, the sharp twists deep inside, the dull ache that never left. But she stayed quiet, not wanting to trouble her mother, who already carried the weight of the world. She pushed through the pain, painting smiles on her face, until the day her legs gave way in class. The teacher's panicked call brought an ambulance, and within minutes, her life hung on the edge of uncertainty. When the nurse asked about family contacts, her mother hesitated, then gave the name she had sworn she'd never utter again. The millionaire. The man who had walked away. When he arrived, his presence filled the sterile white room. His voice was commanding, his face pale with fear, his eyes darting to every machine as though trying to understand what was happening. Doctors explained words that sounded like storms: intestinal blockage, emergency surgery, possible complications. He was a man used to controlling outcomes, but in that room, control slipped from his hands. He looked at the girl lying there, clutching her stomach, her tiny braids damp with sweat, her eyes glazed with both pain and fear, and he felt powerless. The surgery was urgent. The minutes ticked like hours. He sat in the waiting area, a place he had never imagined he'd be, pacing in circles. His mind replayed every moment he had missed: her first birthday cake, her first day of school, the way she must have looked learning to ride a bike. He had traded those moments for meetings and mergers, and now the cost of his absence was unbearable. He prayed, a man who had not prayed in years, whispering to a God he wasn't sure still listened. All he wanted was for her to live. When the surgeon finally emerged, sweat on his brow, mask pulled down, he gave a nod that loosened the millionaire's chest. Aaliyah had made it. The blockage had been removed, but recovery would be slow. He would need to be patient, present, and above all, there. And in that moment, something shifted inside him. This was not just about paying hospital bills, not just about providing luxury or comfort. This was about giving her something money could never buy: time, presence, love. The days that followed were both fragile and beautiful. Aaliyah, though weak, began to smile again. She looked at him with curiosity, as though trying to piece together who this man was. At first, there was distance. She had grown up without him, and love could not be demanded. It had to be earned. So he sat by her bedside, reading her stories, holding her hand through the night, even when her sleep was restless and filled with whimpers of pain. He brought her favorite foods, but more importantly, he listened to her laughter, her fears, the little details of her world that he had missed. Her mother watched from the corner, her own heart torn between caution and hope. She had built a life without him, shielded Aaliyah from disappointment, but now she saw something she had not expected. She saw a man who was trying, a man who had been broken by the fear of losing his child and was willing to rebuild himself piece by piece. It did not erase the years of absence, but it planted the seed of change. Aaliyah's recovery became a journey of healing not just for her body, but for their fractured family. There were setbacks, moments of pain, nights when she cried out again. But through it all, her father remained. Each tear she shed tore through his chest, each smile she gave stitched him back together. Slowly, trust began to form. One afternoon, as sunlight streamed through the hospital blinds, she reached out her small hand and placed it in his. It was a simple gesture, but it spoke louder than words. Forgiveness, fragile and tentative, had begun. The story did not end in the hospital. It carried into her life beyond those walls. He brought her into his world, not with diamonds or mansions, but with simple acts, showing up at school plays, cooking breakfast on Saturdays, being there when she needed to talk. His wealth became a tool not for luxury, but for creating opportunities she had once only dreamed of. He sponsored her love for art, filled her room with canvases and brushes, and proudly displayed her first painting in his office, above the desk where once only business deals mattered. The man who had been known for his ruthlessness in business became known for something else, kindness. People whispered that fatherhood had changed him, that the little girl who once clutched her stomach in pain had mended more than her own body, she had mended his soul. Life was not perfect. It never is. But there was something undeniably powerful in the way love transformed them all. Aaliyah's laughter filled spaces once silent, her mother found rest in shared responsibility, and he found purpose beyond wealth. He had been given a second chance, and he was determined never to waste it again. And now, dear listener, if this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that healing is possible, that love can bridge even the widest gaps, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to Kindness Speaks, and share it with someone who might need to believe in second chances.